Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here to talk about the best rated books that I have read according to Goodreads. I was inspired to do this from Peri from LiteraryKnitterary. She did lists and reviews of the best rated books that she has read and the worst rated books that she has read. And I really like that idea, and I'm gonna exercise it. But instead of doing general reviews, I'm just going to talk about the books a little bit. Many of these I probably have reviews for or have discussed before on this channel, so you can get my thoughts here and there about them. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my 10 best-rated books from Goodreads, and the date that I collected this information was December 25th, 2020. And I might do this every so often because the ratings, as more people read the books, is going to change, as well as the books that I read, that's going to change things. And the books that I'm going to show you are everything that I have, that I own. A lot of the books, 4 out of the 10 that made it onto my best list are part of the Harry Potter series, because there is a great deal of acclaim. They have millions of ratings on the site, but I borrowed all of my Harry Potter books, and aside from The Sorcerer's Stone, which I purchased for a young adult literature class, I don't own any of the other books. And at this point, I do not have any interest in owning the books. But without further ado, let's get started. The book with the best average rating on Goodreads that I have read is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This has an average Goodreads rating of 4.71 out of 5, and this is based off of a total of 62,621 ratings. I personally gave it a 4 out of 5. I use half stars, but what you should keep in mind is if I give a half-star rating, you round down. But unless it's either half a star or no stars, then you can round up to 1. But everything else, you round down. 4.5 would be 4, 3.5, 3, 2.5, 2, 1.5, 1. A 5-star means it's 5 stars. But back to Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I read this for the BookTube prize, the final round. This was the winner of the BookTube prize. I ranked it in 4th. But what I feel was the greatest strength of this memoir is how atmospheric and powerful Chanel Miller was with her direct description and internal emotion that she felt and what she had to endure. How there were things that she could not explain. She just realized that she was in the particular predicament, and you felt the fury of how it must feel to have to put your life on the side because Brock Turner felt indulged. His judgment was impaired, but he felt that it would be an excuse to fulfill his indulgence and take an opportunity to take advantage of somebody sexually, which this really brings out a sense of fury and also that call to action that things do need to be changed in society to assert a greater deal of fairness. The work that is the second highest rated that I have read, according to Goodreads, is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. This has an average of 4.62 stars out of 2,853,424 ratings. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and out of the 7 books, this was my sixth favorite. The only one that ranks lower is The Chamber of Secrets. I felt that The Deathly Hallows, even though it rightfully wrapped things up and I was able to zip through it within a few days, it just seemed to happen. Things just happened as they did, and Voldemort was not as spectacular of an antagonist as one would be led to believe. I think I was more aggravated by Dolores Umbridge and Severus Snape, but Snape ends up being cast in a more positive light but it was the ultimatum was that he just had this creepy admiration for Harry Potter's mother. But I felt that the Deathly Hallows could have been, I think it could have been a more, it built up to be something incredible, but it ended up falling a little bit flat in my mind. But I think that the last in the series is bound to cater to people in that particular way. The third best rated book, according to Goodreads, that I have read is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. Funny enough, I ranked this as my third favorite book that I read in 2020. This has a Goodreads rating of 4.57 out of 720,638 ratings, and I gave it the full 5 stars. I read this for a discussion on Literary Gladiators, and this was just amazing with how it brought to light what took place during the Second World War in Nazi-invaded France among the females that were raising families and on the home front, and just how their lives were torn apart for the sake of Nazism, which is just awful, and the things that happened to them, the way that they were treated. But at the same time, it brings to light the determination and the fight that these people had, and how it doesn't matter. There are so many different ways that you can contribute. You don't have to be an outward rebel or somebody that is a risk taker in order to make a difference. You do have to do some things that go against the common grain sometimes, but it's a matter of following your intuition as to what you feel is right. The fourth best rated work that I have read, according to Goodreads, is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. This, too, got a 4.57 rating, and there were a total of 2,479,888 reviews. I gave this 5 stars, and it is my second favorite book in the Harry Potter series. I think that this really continues down this trend of Harry Potter being becoming very dark, and it really sets up the groundwork for what is to come. And I feel that a lot of major things take place, and it's just I think it is one of the more solid books within the series and how everything comes into fruition. The number 5 on this list is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. Has an average of 4.57 out of 2,863,890 ratings. I rated this 4 stars. I have this ranked as my 4th favorite in the series, and this still takes on the grain of the first books within the series, but it really starts to get deeper. Harry Potter begins to really engage with his past and the demons that put him in the position of being the chosen one. And he engages in his first direct contact outside of his very young cradlehood with Voldemort under an alias, and he also meets his godfather, Sirius Black. The next book on here is actually the last Harry Potter book that is mentioned on this list, and it turns out to be my favorite in the series, and that is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Also written by J.K. Rowling, has an average Goodreads rating of 4.56 out of 2,641,154 ratings. And I gave it a 5-star rating. It was the one book in the series that made my top 10 list in 2011. What I liked about this is that it served as the turning point, and it goes against the common structure and incorporates the Triwizard Tournament. It shows that there is a great deal of dimension to the wizarding world, and creates this Olympic-like tournament format, which I'm a little bit partial to that because back in high school I was very involved in participating and observing, writing about the school tournaments. But there's just so much thought put into the pacing of this book in particular, and it does serve as the turning point where things begin to get really dark. The 7th best rated book that I have read, according to Goodreads, is The Complete Mouse by Art Spiegelman. This has a average Goodreads rating of 4.54 out of 141,820 ratings. I gave it a 5-star rating, and it made my list of the best books that I read in 2012. Mouse is what really got me into. This is probably the first graphic text that I could say that I read and loved. And it's just so amazing how Spiegelman tells his father's story about being in the Holocaust and uses a great and creative use of imagery, having each group of people or nationality being depicted by a different animal. The Jewish people are represented by mice. The Germans are represented by cats. The Poles are represented by pigs. The French are represented by frogs. The Americans are represented by dogs. But another great strength in this book is that Spiegelman injects a great deal of humor, lighthearted humor, and he tells things exactly as they happened, be it his father's story, but also the way that his father tells the story. The jacket scene is probably the funniest thing that takes place in here. The 8th best rated book that I've read from Goodreads is The Complete Plays of William Shakespeare, which I've not read every one of these plays that's in here, and I've read some of them in other outlets, but as a collection, this is the cream of the crop. It is very affordable, and it has every play that Shakespeare legitimately wrote. So there is no Two Noble Kinsmen, because it's almost certain that he did not write that. It was all John Fletcher. But this has an average Goodreads rating of 4.53 out of 337 ratings, and I gave it a rating of 5. This is a 5-star collection. Not all of the plays in here are 5 stars. I've rated Macbeth a perfect 5 stars. I do like Hamlet and Julius Caesar, and I would like to read some more of these, in particular King Richard III and Antony and Cleopatra, on the recommendation of Joseph Brodsky, according to his works that he feels people should read in order to have an intellectual discussion about literature. But this is definitely worth them. Number 9 on this list is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. And this has an average Goodreads rating of 4.52 out of 28,565 ratings. I rated it 4 stars. And this is very creative and unique. It really does a spectacular job in painting a picture about the experiences that she had to go through, and really going outside of the box as far as setting things up is concerned. There's Dream House as blank, and one of them is even create your own adventure. For instance, choose your own. Dream House is choose your own adventure, where if you respond in one way, you go to this page, and she's very open and honest about how one would respond. I read In the Dream House for the BookTube prize, and I ranked it in 3rd place in the quarterfinals and 5th place in the finals. And number 10 on the best readed books that I've read from Goodreads, according to Goodreads, is No Visible Bruises by Rachel Louise Snyder. This has an average Goodreads rating of 4.51 out of 4,161 ratings. This one I rated 4.5. And this is very enlightening on the topic of domestic violence. I learned a lot more about the various situations and how each of them are handled, and how they need to do a better job when it comes to handling domestic violence, being able to provide the help that the victims need, and take care and be able to address the issues involving the abusers. sentencing them to the proper amount of time, depending on the extremity of their actions, and being able to reform them so that they can turn their lives around if applicable. I read this for the BookTube Prize as well. Finally, I wanted to talk about a book that was rated a perfect 5 stars out of 6 ratings, but I didn't incorporate it because I contributed to it, and I felt that wouldn't. I think it's better just to have it as an honorable mention. But this is a great collection. It's called Speculations from New Jersey. This is an anthology where I contributed a short story about a trip to the dentist gone wrong. This was edited by Patrick Lundgren. He was the president of Garden State Speculative Writers Club, which at this point it's no longer active, but the people that contributed here are still very active with their writing as best as possible. Got a great group of people here, a great range of speculative fiction, and each of these stories was very well thought out. So these are the best rated books that I have read according to Goodreads, and it's a good thing that I agree with each of these placements. This isn't my ranking for the best of all time, but all of them got at least 4 stars in my mind. When we get to the worst rated, there are actually things on that list that I liked, so it'll be very interesting to go over and compare. So tune into that one, and I encourage you to check some more videos out on this channel. Please subscribe if you are interested in seeing more. Be happy to talk about these books in the comments, and if you really like what you see, I highly encourage you to support Literary Gladiators on Patreon. For now, and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.